second session of the conference was entitled Transatlantic Ties, Are They Strong Enough to Guarantee NATO's Security Initiatives After the Pandemic Wave? Rolf Nickel, former German ambassador to Poland, believes that some countries are using the pandemic to strengthen control over their own society, and some actors may to act more aggressively on the international stage. For example, Lukashenko may find it easier to suppress protests if the West is busy with a pandemic. A pandemic is an attempt at the state's effectiveness in solving various challenges. At first, everyone dealt with their own safety, but then it has changed. Rolf Nickel does not see any positive consequences of the pandemic. According to Nickel, the ties between the US and the EU remain very strong, including the common values. He expressed hope that America will continue to support the process European integration, and that was a weak point under President Trump. Nuclear talks with Iran will also be important. In the event of tensions between Greece and Turkey, a clear and decisive position should be taken. The right attitude of influence has been adopted regarding Belarus through sanctions mechanism against Belarusian officials. According to Alexander Vershbo, former deputy of NATO's Secretary General, only Europe working with the US can be significant in the world. Admittedly, Joe Biden opts for transatlantic cooperation. But the United States will probably start by healing own economy and various social wounds. Nevertheless, it should be remembered that both parties in America, the Republicans and Democrats, recognize China as a priority in American politics. For this reason, Europe should become more militarily involved in joint activities. In the case of such conflicts within NATO, such as Turkish-Greek tensions, one should start with mediation, for example, through the NATO Secretary-General. Turkey has its own geopolitical goals or NATO guarantees, and NATO itself operates by consensus. We should also be prepared for information attacks. We have to be more skeptical about what we read on the internet. In turn, Dr. Wojciech Michnik from the Jagiellonian University believes that our ties in the EU are not strong enough to ensure security after the pandemic. Therefore, there should be some issues to be renegotiated. 2019 year was not the best year for transatlantic unity, and the COVID-19 pandemic is the worst crisis since the Cold War. The bigger from 11/9, or the Russian aggression against Ukraine. It is constantly emphasized in NATO's strategy that deterrence and dialogue are important. This first works, but what should we talk to Russia about? On Russia's possible withdrawal from Ukraine. Russia is not our enemy, but a very serious competitor. Regarding the assessment of the EU's strategic autonomy, it shares the view of Radoslaw Sikorski that Europe lacks funds in this matter. In addition, internal threats within the EU must be taken very seriously. In the case of the Belarusian question, one should strive for balance, but there is no need to provoke a stronger Russian reaction. Instead, the Russian disinformation campaign needs to be monitored more closely.